go check out the after party hangover. Hashtag shut the fuck up for one.
We kiss the stars. We ride. We are your name. Desire.
Welcome to the after party hangover.
One.
Welcome to the After Party Hangover, and I am your temporary host, Matthew GH138. And this is the show that talks about a show that talks about a show. And today's guest, Mangria Fueled. How are you today?
Doing good, my man. Just dropped yeah. It's been a, shitty quarantine week, but we're all in this together, right?
Oh, yeah. It's getting worse and worse every day, it seems, with this. Everybody's going a little stir crazy being in the house. I don't know about you, but by me, anyways, no one's really allowed to do anything anymore.
Well, shit, after Decent Mania is done, now I'm just going to vegetate on the couch and gain another 20 pounds.
I cannot wait to do the exact same thing. That is on tonight's schedule. I will say I did start watching it while I was walking the dog earlier today, though.
Did you get to your match?
Oh. No, not yet.
Oh.
I made it a conscious effort not to skip. I want to watch the whole thing through.
I appreciate that.
So, unfortunately, I made one huge mistake.
What was that?
Because we were supposed to do this last week. My one Facebook gimmick is always the dates, and I never updated the date.
Uh-oh.
So last Saturday was April 4th. I have to ask you one question. That was National Burrito Day. What is your favorite Mexican food?
Oh, boy. Burritos are good. But I'm going to have to go. Well, I come from a Mexican family, but I'm the hunkiest Mexican of all time. So I can't handle spice. So I'm boring with the straight up taco, straight up burrito. That stuff's all good. Just hold the spice, add some cheese.
For me, anything sour cream is good.
Yes, sour cream is awesome.
That's what I actually just told. I was telling somebody that I was like, I can't wait. Once this is all over, I'm going to Mexico. I don't care where. Sitting on a resort, and for $20 gets you treated like a king, and I'm gonna get drunk off my face for 3 days on a beach.
So instead of getting coronavirus in America, you're gonna go on a beach in Mexico and drink a Corona.
Well, yes.
Yeah.
But hopefully when the Corona's over.
Yeah.
Like November.
Sounds good.
Exactly. So now this came up because I mentioned to you, obviously, that there's no you interviewed everybody else. You've done so much for this Still Real after party, but there's never actually been a full Mangria Fueled interview. Just little bits and pieces there I've noticed that when you listen to other people, but no one's ever actually had a full interview on you. So thank you for giving me this opportunity to do this for you.
No problem. I appreciate the man with the perfect grammar and speaks very well. I put it up to you, my man, because you brought it up well, and I was like, that's a good point.
Yes. Well, people kind of want to know who is the man that cares so much. Can you explain your Instagram name? Although I think I kind of have an idea.
Well, speaking of my Instagram name, I just got the mother load yesterday. Adam Carolla is my hero, and I've been listening to him ever since high school. And high school, he hosted Loveline. He eventually started The Man Show with Jimmy Kimmel, and so on and so forth, to his Adam Carolla podcast that is on the Carolla Digital Network. He is building his empire in about 2013, 2014, or somewhere around then. He created his own signature cocktail called Mangria, which I'm a massive fan of, fell in love with it immediately. And I've been a big proponent, so much so that I brought that beverage into my town, into the local liquor stores. So anytime I watch a pay-per-view, I got my bottle of Mangria next to me, and my Mangria tank is full, and I just put Mangria fueled because that's basically the motivation for all my stupid posts is I'm drunk.
Hey, there's no judgment here. What is Mangria though? Is that like a mixture drink or is that a?
It's a pretty big mixture of all kinds of shit. Corolla, whenever he runs out of a certain alcohol, like there's a little bit left at the bottom and he doesn't want to
Yeah.
throw it out, so he just fills it up with a bunch of other different liquors. So it's got brandy in it. It's got
Oof.
it packs a punch, man. It does the trick. It's a wine cocktail and it's pretty damn good in my opinion.
I'm gonna have to look into that. Like I came up with a drink. Well, I didn't invent it. I invented the name, I feel. But because I work nights and I used to I was going through a really rough time a couple of years ago. That's when I really started listening to. That's when I found this podcast to begin with the original Still Real
Radio.
podcast. Yeah, Still Real Radio. And I used to get home from work at like 7 o'clock in the morning, and I'd be cooking up like bacon and eggs. I'm making a pizza out of it, and I would make manmosas. Me and my friend, he worked nights as well, and they were Jack Daniels and orange juice
Oh shit.
instead of shit. Oh, it is so good. Oof. It's all about you got to get the good orange juice. It doesn't really matter what whiskey you put into it, but man, well, you can accidentally get really, really, really looped on that.
Yeah, we had that pretty good alcohol discussion yesterday in the chat, and the one thing I forgot to bring up is I've never developed a taste for Jack and Coke. I know that's a very famous drink among alcoholics,
Yeah.
but Jack and Coke, it just tastes like black licorice to me. I do not like it. Maybe I'll grow into it. Who knows? Well, I guess we'll see.
See, I have a thing. I don't like Coke is okay, but I don't like name brand Coke. I prefer like the Walmart brand Coke. It's got a better flavor to me, anyways.
Sam choice.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's what I had mentioned. I mentioned in the chat. It got overlooked a little bit, but hey, if the great Bretsky has an issue, I just found out that he lives a couple towns from me.
Oh man, there you go. The first ever meeting of the Steel community, the army.
I would bore him to tears. I am way too old. But there is a liquor store 2 towns over. We got a little bit of a ghetto, well, just over the bridge. But that liquor store opens until like 3 o'clock in the morning. And since I was going there since like 1996, they used to serve us. And I was like 15, 16 years old at that time.
Nice.
Not a problem. He's tall. It's not a problem. He'll get away with it.
Get some stubble, you'll be fine.
Yeah. You don't even need stubble. you just have to be taller than them. Everybody there is like 5'4".
Nice.
All right. How do I get back to this? Gotcha. All right. Sorry. All right. So this is another question that's a little bit dated now, but you'll think it's funny that I brought it up. And then going forward is, have you noticed the slow progression turn of Jake?
Oh yeah.
I noticed over the past couple of weeks he's been getting Nancy. I feel he's the most affected person of this quarantine. That's what I think it is. It's the quarantine that's getting to him because it's been slowly going. But
we will get into the latest episode of the After Party, but yeah, I have it, and it's been a mixture of a bunch of things. I kind of feel bad for him because we don't know what he's going through and his situation at home, because we all got our own shit. So, if he needs to take the time off that he needs, and go for it. But yeah, it was very noticeable and very somber going into this episode, knowing what we knew. But yeah, I did notice.
Oh, not being on the Hall of Fame chat and not knowing, I was devastated. I was like, you gotta be kidding me. I have my rituals, which brings into my next question is, when do you find the time to listen?
This quarantine has fucked my life up big time when it comes to podcast listening, because now I can only listen to a podcast if I'm working. So when I'm at work or vacuuming a room or doing whatever, cleaning toilets or whatever, that's when I have my AirPods in and I'm listening to all of my podcasts. And now that I've been at home, now I just sit in my fucking chair and listen to it. And it's kind of hard to keep focused. Like I have to do something else, and I go on walks, helps me, but that's when I listen to it. Usually when I was at work.
See, that was my issue with watching wrestling is Because at night the kids are at school, I get home from work, you know, I can catch up on everything for the few hours before I go to bed. Now everybody's home all the time. I got one TV with like Thomas the Train. The next TV's got the Disney stuff going on. I never have time anymore. My house, it sounds like people are killing each other downstairs right now.
It sounds like a zoo, I gotta be honest.
Does it? You can hear it in the background?
Yeah.
Oh man, I got 3 kids running around.
Yeah.
Oh well. Okay, I hope you don't mind that I did add a few different questions in here though.
No, go for it, man.
Perfect. How did you become associated with the podcast? Obviously, you go above and beyond, creating the Hangover and then doing your own channel and stuff. But how did that all come about?
Well, I found the podcast in a different way because I noticed that the 75% of the people I talked to said that they discovered the Still Real After Party podcast through the memes. And I was never big into the memes because I'm a dinosaur when it comes to anything internet. So I was listening to, I was searching through the iTunes categories, wrestling podcasts, sports podcasts, and I downloaded like 5 random wrestling podcasts, and the Still Real Radio was one of them, and I was hooked ever since.
That's actually me too.
Oh yeah?
As I never found out through Facebook. I was looking for the Misfits had did an interview on the Stone Cold Steve Austin podcast. I was finding that, and this was a recommended thing.
Yeah.
Was the Still Real Radio, and that's how I found out as well.
Nice. Yeah, because you download Stone Cold, you download Jericho, and it'll recommend like a whole slew of wrestling podcasts.
Yeah, I was devastated when they went off the air because then I'm sitting there like, wait a minute, they said they had a Facebook page. There is another Facebook page with the same name, and I started following that, thinking that was them, and thinking the time, like they changed their whole tone and everything. It was a completely different podcast.
Yeah,
it was very weird. And then I found the After Party, like I guess 2 months, 3 months into when they started it again.
Yeah, same here. I was like, what the heck is this? Are these the same people? And it was Zank and Jake instead of Josh.
Yeah, that's how it was the Zanka thing. Once I heard him talk, I was like, oh yeah, okay, because I always remembered they had the metal intro.
Yeah,
so I was like, oh okay, I like that part anyways. So oh boy, where was I? What is your favorite segment of the podcast?
You know what? Since nobody's gonna say it, so I'm gonna say it. The Facebook questions were my favorite part of the podcast because everybody shit on them, but I would attempt and do my best to try and think of something good for the Facebook questions until the crumb offs and my stupid stories started. I would put the effort into thinking of something good for that segment, and everyone shits on it.
Oh, come on. See, that's where I started and put the that's why I always started doing the date on that.
Yeah.
So it's a similar thing there. I do have a special question.
Yes.
This is from Julius Caesar.
Oh boy.
This is a quote here. Ask Mangria how it feels to be the #1 slave to the most decent podcast on the planet.
I love it. I love it because I don't really credit myself or promote myself at all ever because I pride myself on opening the door to the entire Still Real Army community. Like I believe we all became a tighter community because of the Hangover and the Instagram chat. We all got closer, and it's a privilege to get to talk to you guys because I love talking wrestling, and all of you guys have different opinions. It's such I look forward to it every week, getting to talk wrestling and getting everyone's different opinions, and I'll do it for free because I'm passionate about wrestling and wrestling talk. It's just a passion, and getting to talk to a whole bunch of new people. It's great. It's something I look forward to every week.
And especially in times like this where, you can't just easily go out and do anything anymore. It is, you can pick up your phone, look, and oh yeah, there is a conversation going on.
Yeah.
And you can join in too.
It's perfect for this time. Exactly.
I agree. I'm actually in something similar with surprise, of a Glenn Danzig fan club page on Facebook. So
Nice.
I'm glad it's made it that step forward too. So now I have like two. So it's pretty exciting. What is your favorite wrestling theme song?
Well, I gave a different answer when the Still Real host asked me, but I
Mhm.
was put on the spot. Now that I have had over 34 episodes to think about it,
Mhm.
definitely The Game, Triple H's theme. And the reason
Really?
being is because of the middle of the song. You know when he spits water in his entrance?
Mhm.
I must have done that over 300 times already to that fucking song, especially when I was. I love that song. That when it kicks on, you know, some shit's going down, and it was always my favorite.
that's that is a good one. Now, when you're spitting water, are you spitting water in the living room or is this at work?
Oh, it's usually outside. I used to take a bunch of pictures because I'm a fucking idiot. Like all my ex-girlfriends have pictures of me spitting water in the air to this damn song. I have done it in the house before, but of course it's water, so the carpet will dry. But I even wanted to do it at my wedding, but the church declined.
That's great.
That'll tell you how much I like that damn song.
That's pretty good. I like that. Um, Now this one's pretty stupid, but do you ever play WWE video games?
I'm obsessed with WWE video games,
I
especially
never noticed.
especially as a youth. What got me into it to begin with was getting to play with your friends. You know, getting to play
Mhm.
WCW, NWO Revenge, WrestleMania 2000, No Mercy, all that shit. That started the addiction, and it just got worse from there. Making my friends and making everybody on 2K games and love them. I love those games.
See, that's great. That actually rolls into my next question. It was, how did you start watching, and what was that match that got you hooked? Like made you like, oh my God, I gotta keep up with this.
You know, back in the day, my cousins got me into it. They would
Okay.
always watch Superstars on the weekend, and
Hmm.
it was always Boss Man or Warrior or somebody would go in there and do a squash match. And I
Hmm.
was hooked ever since then because they were all into it, and I was like, wow, this does look cool. And just the theatrics of it. Of course, I thought it was real when I first started watching, and
Oh
it
yeah.
hooked me immediately with all the '80s stars.
I remember specifically watching the Texas Tornado
Yep.
defeat Mr. Perfect for the Intercontinental title. Right there, I was like, oh, I saw him spin with the braids. And I was hooked right there. I was like, I could not believe what I was watching.
Yeah, I was a Hulkamaniac, of course, like every stupid kid. But yeah, I
Did
see what you mean.
Did you have the wrestling buddy?
No, we're poor. I was lucky enough. My first ever WrestleMania was WrestleMania 6, and I had to beg like no child has ever begged before. I would have put food and drink aside just to watch this WrestleMania. It was Hogan versus Warrior, my very first WrestleMania, and that was amazing. But I was
That was
sad
mine too.
Hogan lost.
That was mine too.
Spoiler alert, Hogan loses.
Oh, that was mine too. And I remember specifically going, get on with the match because it seemed like you were taking forever, pumping up the crowd, waving your hands. Oh my
The
God.
dramatic pauses and
Yeah. Um, Now here's another one I was thinking of. What is your Mount Rushmore of favorite superstars important to you?
oh my God, that's like the hardest fucking question of all time.
It is really hard because you think you write them down. There's a lot.
I wouldn't even put Hogan on it, to be honest. If we're talking four wrestlers that made a massive impact in my life personally,
In your life. Yeah.
I would. It has to be Bret Hart. Bret Hart. I loved Bret Hart. I hated Shawn Michaels. I'm still not really a huge fan of Shawn Michaels. I appreciate what he's brought to the business, but Bret the Hitman Hart, number one on that Mount Rushmore for me. Also, the jabroni beaten. Pie
Oh boy.
trailblazing, highbrow raising, all around, smack it down, peoples champ. Stone Cold, no, The Rock.
Yes.
The Rock will be there. Stone Cold, of course, will also be on there. And number four, oh boy, number four, The Undertaker, of course.
Oh, I remember the first time I ever saw him. That was hooked.
Yes.
That was So Bret Hart's your George Washington,
Oh hell yeah.
front center, perfect. I agree with that. That's a good lineup. Now, have you ever done backyard wrestling?
No, but I'm fascinated by the subject. Talking to
It
Steve
is.
and talking to even Cesar did it as well. I did wrestle with my friends. I mean, we always goofed
Hmm.
around. Like I did the rock bottoms in the swimming pool, and my
Yeah.
cousins, we would always do the submissions because we saw them on TV, and we're like, "Does that really hurt?" And we would do it and be like, "Yes, it fucking hurts."
See, like especially in high school, I used to do a lot of I used to go to a lot of punk shows, a lot of punk, lot of metal, a lot of hardcore shows. And I remember I think it was in 1997, I was a junior in high school. Me and a whole bunch of my friends were going to go to, because this club in town, they had Blink 182 had just came out with their one album. Remember that song "Damn It" that they had? It was, I guess this is growing up. It was like really popular in the beginning of the 90s, right when they became big.
Blink
And
182.
they're, yeah, and they were playing, and they had brought all these punk bands to open up for them, and we dressed up. One half was in the referee shirts, and the other half had sport jersey shirts, and we did backyard wrestling right in the middle of the mosh pit. It was insane. We were sitting there throwing people, knocking everybody down. We did it as refs versus sports players. It was a pretty cool time.
You know what? Blink 182 song is burned into my brain fucking forever. All the
No.
small things.
Oh,
Fucking song, dude. During grad night, the year 2000,
mhm.
they played it at Disneyland over and over and over, and on the radio over, and still today over. So whenever I hear that song, I think about fucking grad night at Disneyland.
Well, if anybody listening knows their music, don't tease me for going to a Blink 182 show. The band All did open up, and that is former Descendants, so they're like real punk. So just save my credit a little bit. What is your all-time favorite match?
Man, I'm glad I wrote this down. Okay. The Royal Rumble 2003, actually. Royal Rumble 2003, Kurt Angle versus Chris Benoit. These
Ooh.
guys, anytime they came together, was unbelievable. And I don't know if you're going to ask this question next, but my favorite wrestler of all time is Kurt Angle. He would counter every fucking thing anyone did to him into the ankle lock, and I popped every time. Him and Chris Benoit's chemistry was so fucking incredible. You could tell these two knew what they were doing. The ultimate professionals in the ring. Chris Benoit always came up short, but that match was incredible. A close second from my favorite WrestleMania of all time, WrestleMania 19, was Stone Cold Steve Austin versus The Rock, the final chapter. Because of the build-up, because of the history, the previous WrestleManias, because of the Limp Bizkit intro it got, that
Mhm.
had everything, and I love that as well. But yeah, wrestling match, Angle Benoit, entertainment match, Austin Rock.
Oh, that actually brings up something completely off this topic, anyways. But there's another podcast that does like sports wars,
Uh-huh.
like rivalries, and about a month ago they just finished Stone Cold. They do like like Tyson Holyfield and stuff, but they just did The Rock and Stone Cold, and it culminated up to that, which was pretty neat.
Oh.
And it's like a Sports Illustrated writer does it, so it was pretty neat to see like the inside and inner workings of what was going on as opposed to what you saw. That was pretty cool. You got the full story of what was going on.
Yeah, the morning of that match, Stone Cold and The Rock, he was really deathly ill. And
That's what he was in the hospital.
yeah, he fought through it and made it to that WrestleMania, which is like the stories behind the matches are almost more interesting than the matches themselves.
It's very weird on how in the beginning it started out as just The Rock looking for respect, and in the end it was The Rock's disappointment in Stone Cold that brought him back to get him back into the WWE ring and stuff like that. At least that's how I got the take of it.
Perfect storytelling.
Yes, in real life. So, well, actually, no. This one, you already answered the one about your favorite wrestler, but what is your favorite gimmick match?
Hang on a second. My favorite wrestler is Kurt Angle. Wrestler.
Yes.
My favorite
Yes.
superstar of all time
Okay.
is The Rock. The Rock's attitude from him being a bad guy. Well, when he first came in the Survivor Series, '97, I believe, and they booed the shit out of him because he Rocky Maivia, weird looking hairdo with the stupid tassels, looking like a Aztec warrior or whatever. And then him going into the Nation of Domination, being this prick that you hated, with the eyebrow and everything, I fell in love with him. His promos, like everything was incredible. And then his natural charisma, his electricity, he brought every time. Favorite entertaining superstar, Kurt Angle, favorite wrestler. And then when they fought, that was like a clash of the titans for my brain. And then Kurt Angle won. It was a no mercy, and he had that booger in his nose. That was iconic.
So, as far as entertainer, how do you feel about when Christian started doing the Peeps gimmick?
I hated it.
Oh, I loved it.
When he first separated from Edge and he had that horrible theme song, Atlas, Atlas,
Yeah.
I'm all. I was like, oh my god, this is fucking dumb. But
Oh,
like all great gimmicks, you see it over and over and you start understanding it better and then you start appreciating it and then you become a fan of it. Well, I did. So Christian's gimmick was great for me ultimately in the end.
now, what is your favorite yearly pay-per-view?
WrestleMania. There's something
Oh,
special about it. There's this, even with the no crowds, there's something special about WrestleMania. It
Yeah,
has
you know what?
special
Oh, I'm
twinkle
sorry.
in everybody's eyes. It just brings out, it makes everybody go beyond what they can usually do to impress everybody. And I really appreciate it every year, no matter how shitty the card is. Like 32 when Shane jumped off the cell, that was the best part. 27 when The Rock interfered in the Cena Miz main event. It was stupid, but I mean, it was WrestleMania. It was special.
You know, they kind of try and do everything to make everybody happy. And even this year, you saw online people were complaining about it. I had a Facebook friend that was like, "Oh, this is ridiculous. There's no fans, this and that." And I just commented, "Go ahead and put the Mets on, please." There. Shut up. They're trying. Leave them alone, you know.
Exactly.
So what is your favorite WrestleMania?
19.
Yeah,
19 is
there
my
you go.
favorite of all time. Not
I
only
think you mentioned it twice in this interview.
not only the Austin and Rock match, but I don't know if you remember this one, Shawn Michaels versus Jericho. That match blew my balls off. I wasn't even a Jericho fan until that match. That match made me a Jericho fan. They were mimicking each other's moves, the story build up to it. It was fucking incredible. I loved it. And WrestleMania 19 also had the Brock Lesnar botched shooting star. Like everything about that WrestleMania, maybe excluding the Undertaker Nathan Jones match, that was kind of stupid, but the rest of it, I loved it.
Let's see. That's a good one. Now, sorry, that's my dog now.
He agreed.
Yeah. That or he's seeing a squirrel, one or the other. And the crazy thing is, I am upstairs and 3 rooms away. That's
He's got a make.
I have a big foyer that goes like floor to the second room, or from the ground floor to the ceiling, like the roof of the house. So I guess it's echoing. I apologize.
That's okay.
What is your favorite WrestleMania live musical performance?
Probably Motorhead for Triple H, because he sung the song that I love.
That's yeah. I'm gonna have to say that. That's a pretty good one.
There's been a lot. It's just that one always stuck out because it was my favorite song.
There's some you forget too, because like I forgot Living Color played for CM Punk, and I used to love Living Color.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, so I have that on like on my jogging list now, or a playlist for YouTube, but that's on my jogging list.
Wow.
So, now what was that last one? I only have one more question left that I wrote down. We went through them a lot. That was pretty fast.
I didn't answer the gimmick match.
Oh, I'm sorry.
The gimmick match.
Actually, that was the first question in that whole series too. I'm sorry.
Man, there are so many, but does King of the Ring count? No, that's early a tournament. Okay.
Yeah, but remember when that used to be a one-day thing?
Yeah, they would wrestle 3 times in one day. That made them earn it.
Yeah,
I love
that's
that.
that. I like that better than bringing it out in like a long form tournament.
Last man standing. I'll go ahead and say that. I like the last man standing because you have to beat the shit out of someone or even be clever like Cena and duct tape Batista to the fucking pole. Those matches are always extreme. I didn't really like the I Quit matches because the loser really fucking lost, including credibility. Last man standing, you have to beat them like Mankind with a chair over 14 times to get the win. I appreciate that.
Oh, that is still brutal to look at.
Yeah. With his kids all crying.
Well, especially after watching the Benoit show.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Oh, that's all. But all right. So this is my last question I had for you. This wasn't one that you put down as a one that you normally do, but this is pretty cool, I think. You know, just to get to see where people have experienced. But what is the best live wrestling shows you've been to?
Oh, WrestleMania 31. The atmosphere at a WrestleMania is so special because
Hmm.
you can go to a house show and it'll be a bunch of parents with their snot-nosed kids not paying attention and dudes texting or whatever around you. You go to a pay-per-view, Royal Rumble. I went to a pay-per-view in 2005. Almost the same, but not the same as WrestleMania 31, where Rollins cashed in his Money in the Bank on Brock. There was no roof, but if they had a roof, it would have blew off the fucking place because that was incredible. The Rock coming out there with Ronda Rousey, we cheered for at least 10 minutes straight. The Rock couldn't even talk. Everybody around you is as a wrestling fanatic as you are at a WrestleMania crowd, and it's unbelievable. You feel it. You can feel the energy. It's once in a lifetime, but I'm pretty sure people have been to several WrestleManias. That one being my only one.
Now I have a question about that. Where did you sit? Were you like in the stands or were you on like the floor level?
Oh yeah, we had shitty riser seats, but just being there,
Uh,
like everybody,
hey,
it didn't matter where you were sitting. Everybody had the same energy.
I only ask because I always had this question. When I go to these things, I like to drink,
Yeah.
and you got to go to the bathroom, and I hate doing it. And I always just imagine those people at ringside. How far do they actually have to go
Yeah.
to get to a bathroom? It seems like they're crammed in there.
I
So at
would.
least if you're in the stands, you got a chance. You got a fighting chance to make it there in a reasonable time.
And plus, it was a brand new stadium, Levi Stadium, so all the bathrooms
Yeah.
weren't tagged yet. If I had to imagine the security and Michael Cole and them, they probably have porta potties behind the curtain or something for them because, like you said, the bathrooms are so far
Yeah.
away from everything. So,
That's when I see that. That's the first thing I think of. I'm like, man, like I live close to New York City, and that's why I never did like the New Year's or anything like that because I'm not gonna. What am I gonna do? I'm not gonna. Let's go on the floor. I mean,
yeah.
see, I've never been to any. I haven't been to any live wrestling in years. Years. I used to go a lot when I was like in my late teens, early 20s.
Yeah.
And I had a friend who did independent wrestling. I forget the name of it. It was like a New Jersey independent thing. And I remember he put on a show and he wrestled Vader, which was awesome.
Damn.
That was really cool. But I've only been to two major WWE ones, and they were both in Madison Square Garden. But the one was when Triple H came back from when he had like a surgery. I forget what it was. Was that when he ripped his tricep or I
You were
forget?
there at that one when
Yes.
you connected the
Yes.
jacket?
Yeah, we were like all the way up by the roof. But yeah, we were there because it was a Raw taping.
That's awesome, dude. That's like the
Yeah,
loudest reaction of all time, I heard.
it was crazy. And I remember there was people getting into fights because Jericho was also the champion at the time.
Oh my.
And I remember some guy threw another guy down, and he got his leg caught in the seat because when you stand up, the seats flip up.
Yeah.
He got his leg caught in it, and security had to come and take apart the chair to get his leg out.
Jesus.
It was pretty crazy. But I also went to I forget what year it was, but you remember? I guess they do this yearly in Madison Square Garden. They do like right the day after Christmas shows. It's like a house show, but it's like a big house show.
Yeah.
in Madison Square Garden, and that headline was, I guess, the beginning of the Shawn Michaels Ric Flair feud leading up to WrestleMania.
Oh wow.
So I got to see that. That was pretty cool, because I know a lot of people never say they never get to see Ric Flair live, but that was pretty cool. I mean, he looked old then, so I can't imagine he still continued to wrestle afterwards, but
We
it
saw
was pretty neat.
we saw Ric Flair at a house show here in Fresno, and there's no cameras, so he got in the ring and he just shit all over Fresno. It was hella funny, dude. Flair is a legend. Thank you,
I,
Matthew JH138, for interviewing Mangria Fueled. And now moving on, we will talk about Steel Real After Party episode 118, Butt Meat Beef. Like I said earlier, I was somber coming into this because I already knew the news that was about to break, but we'll talk about that later. Quarantine life continuing for the guys. Matthew, you are the busiest man in America besides doctors and nurses, but when you get home, how do you live your quarantine life?
oh God, it's nonstop. Usually when I get home, because I have little kids, I'm the risk factor in the house. I guess you can say I'm the one popping in and out every day.
Yeah.
So I got to do the shopping, whether it's for me, my mother-in-law, she's older, we don't want her leaving. So I'm usually the one running around doing all that stuff
Are you
before I even get home.
are you in a hazmat suit, or you wear the mask and the gloves and all that shit?
I was very reluctant, but I've broken down and started wearing the mask this week because basically New Jersey law, we're not allowed out in public without it.
Yeah.
So I was just, for what I do for a living, just anybody who listens and doesn't know, is I work for a perfume company. I ran my own perfume lab within this company for years, and now I'm kind of a supervisor, production supervisor for the whole thing. And since this, we went from making fragrances to kind of more streamlining for cleaners, soaps, disinfectants, and stuff like that. So I always have sanitizers and stuff before that, and now I always use that. But when I get home from work, it's usually hang out with the kids, and first you gotta basically power wash yourself in the shower, then hang out with the kids for a little bit, and I gotta lay down and get ready and go back and do it again. It's been 10 to 12-hour days every day.
They strip you down in the front yard, Lysol your entire body, and then you're allowed to come back in.
Close, the garage, but yes.
Well, shit, yeah, same here, man. I mean, I haven't been
Yeah.
to work in over 3 weeks. It's mind-numbing. I gotta think of all kinds of different ways to occupy my time, hence Decent Mania. But hopefully this shit ends sooner than later. But if you watch the news, it's only getting worse.
Apparently, and I guess you're on the other side, so the other side of the country.
Yeah.
I don't know if, do you guys watch CNN?
All I do
Because-
is watch the news, and it's always full of panic and fear, and it makes me angry, and I eventually put on Impractical Jokers instead.
See, we usually put on like a Marvel movie or something. I'm trying to watch all the Marvel movies in order, so it makes sense. So, but for us, we get a lot of New York news, and the mayor versus the governor is one of the best feuds out there at this point.
Oh boy.
They just argue and disagree with each other constantly. It's great.
Well, the guys did break down WrestleMania, and I did a WrestleMania post-drunk show afterwards. But Matthew JH, what are your final thoughts on this year's WrestleMania?
I liked it. I approved it. People don't. A lot of people crapped on it with no crowd or anything like that, but I thought it was pretty neat. The second day I liked a lot more than the first day, but I thought it was creative. I mean, it could have been a lot worse.
Yeah.
And you could have gotten nothing, but there you got something. And going forward, years from now, you never know how. Obviously this isn't the end of the world, and this isn't going to be the end of wrestling. So maybe 15, 20 years from now, you could always go back and look at, hey, that's that one where, it's interesting. It was a once in a lifetime opportunity to do something, and they did it.
It will be
as opposed to shutting down.
It will be talked about forever, and we'll finally know the answer. Well, what if there was a WrestleMania with no fans? We'll always harken back to this one.
Exactly. Although what AEW does, think they should with having the people in the crowd.
Yeah. Yeah, it does add to it a little bit, and it's noticeable, and I like it as well.
Hmm.
The LOL line of this episode came from Zanka, of course, about the Mandy and Otis relationship. He goes, his little egg roll and her fucking masterpiece puss? I'm in, dude. That made me pop big time.
Oh my God, that just reminded me. I kept rewinding it when what was it, Dolph kicked Otis in the groin in Mania,
Yeah, from
and
behind.
they did it in slow motion. Oh my God, I kept watching.
There
I
is no
kept
way.
rewinding.
There is no way he hit him in the nards. His fat
No, he hit him in the thigh, but it was
his
so.
fat thighs protected him.
He hit him in the thigh, but it looked so funny in his reaction. I must have rewound it 5 times.
Well, we went over this earlier at the beginning of this episode, but during the Facebook questions, you have sort of a colleague when it comes to dates and history. Facebook Sean does this day in history. Matthew does today is the something something day. Do you appreciate Sean giving
I
us
hear you
this day
when
in
you
history?
disappeared.
I am so sorry. Can you hold on 1 second?
Yeah, that's fine.
Come on. Come on. Okay, I'll be right down, right?
Maybe you and you and
Sorry about that.
A cameo from one of Matthew's.
Yep. What you were saying? Yeah, I didn't notice that somebody was starting to do that at first.
Yeah,
Starting to take the same gimmick, but whatever. To each their own. That's fine.
I think it's kind of cool that you guys bring up different subjects for them to talk about because they obviously don't like the way wrestling is going nowadays.
Well, yeah, and like I have no complaints with it, but you got to mix it up sometimes. I'm waiting for the day where we bring up the same thing because we didn't look in the comments to see what the other person said.
Yeah.
That'd be a little bit embarrassing. But what I have been doing is switching and putting them into Instagram questions too, every once in a while. So that changes it up a little bit as well.
Well, speaking of Facebook questions, Franco's question actually piqued my interest, and I gave it some thought as well. He asked, what WrestleMania match would you want to see with no crowd? Do you have one?
Oh, obviously. Hulk Hogan versus The Rock.
Oh,
Because the crowd made it.
that would have changed history if that happened. Oh my God. Wow.
Yeah,
That's a good
that's
answer.
obvious.
I had one.
Or
Oh.
any Saudi Arabia match because
Yeah,
they don't have a crowd that reacts anyways.
it might as well be no crowds over there.
Yes. It was actually terrifying the first time I ever watched one because I was just like, wow, nobody's doing anything.
Maybe if there's nobody in the crowd in Saudi, maybe it'll be cooler for the wrestlers in the ring because there's not much body heat. Because they
Ooh,
add to it,
yeah.
even though it's outside.
Yeah, but it's a desert heat. I mean, I had friends who served in the military and were in those areas, and they said they're like, you can't describe how hot it is. It's like it's face melting.
My answer also might have changed history. The way they looked at this match. The crowd hijacked this match and made it one of the most notoriously horrible matches in all of WrestleMania. I'm talking about WrestleMania 20, Goldberg versus Brock, Part 1. Had there been no crowd, would Brock have been as angry, and would they have both put on a better match?
I forgot about that show. I forgot about that match.
Because
You're
that
right.
match, the crowd shit all over it. Kind of like reminiscent to the Finn Balor Seth Rollins match for the Universal Championship. The crowd took over the match because the title was ugly. Yeah. The crowd took over this match because they knew they were both leaving. Had there been
remember that
crowd, would the match have been better?
I think so. I seriously do. I remember being hyped up for that match too when that came out.
Well, shit, they added Stone Cold and everything.
Yeah.
We were all hyped for this match. We've been wanting to see it for a while. A decent build to it, but when the news leaked that they were both leaving, it was dead on arrival.
That was... do you think Stone Cold stunned him? Who did he stun at the end? He stunned Brock, right?
Yeah,
he did both of them? I thought it was just Brock. Do you think that he knew that going in beforehand? Were they aware of that, or was that just like...
Yeah.
Let me pop this crowd because bring them up.
Brock was
like
probably
an on the fly thing.
Brock was like, stun me so I can get the fuck out of here.
He looks so mad walking out too.
Well, I found it humorous that the guys gave their predictions. They didn't give WrestleMania predictions last week, but they did give us
No.
predictions for Decent Mania this week. So Matthew J.H., you have not seen
No.
the matches I'm about to ask you about. So here we go. CBG versus Mr. Tryon for the APPW Championship. Who do you got?
I'm going to have to go with Mr. Tryon.
Tryon.
Wait.
Huh?
Yeah, sure. I'll go with him first. Yeah.
Andy with an I versus Sam in a Hell in a Cell match.
Oh, that's a tough one. I like them both. Sam cracks me up every day. But Andy was the first Hall of Famer that I actually became friends with on Instagram. So I'm going to have to go with him.
Andy with an I.
Yes.
Up next, Julius _ Caesar versus Cynic Chaos in an Extreme Rules First Blood match for the Decent Championship. Who's coming out on top?
Julius Caesar, of course.
Going with Caesar.
Yeah.
Zank Chris versus Jeff Hardy in a Hardcore Grudge match.
Nobody likes Jeff Hardy.
So you're going for Zank Chris?
Of course.
Zanka and Bretsky in a handicap match versus Goldberg.
Ooh. I don't know. Goldberg does want to be a superhero in his kid's eyes. I'm going to have to go with Goldberg on that one.
Oh, going against the sheriff.
I understand, and I apologize.
Controversy. The match next is the match you're in. The Mega Pounders with Cheese versus the Cynic Mafia versus the Hashtag World Order in a triple threat TLC match for the APPW Tag Team Championships.
I'm going to have to go with my debut victory, obviously.
There we go. You and Jake
You always got to bet on yourself.
bet on yourselves, and it'll be interesting for you to watch it and find out all these results. I will not say anything further about Decent Mania, but please watch it.
I can't wait.
Another thing that Zanka said during the Instagram questions that made me laugh was his Braun versus Nicholas scenario, where he said Braun should legit beat the shit out of Nicholas to the point where they need to call the cops. It just had me laughing.
They need to do something with Braun to get him. It seems like they cheesed him up again.
Yeah, I mean, like
So they make him a monster and they cheese him up, and then they make him a monster and they cheese him up.
well, like the guy said,
I don't get it.
when Roman Reigns got leukemia and now this coronavirus shit, like this whole, the force majeure in front of us gave us Braun Strowman as Universal Champion. He better make the most of it because we don't know how long this is going to last.
And what is the feeling about his nipples popping out all the time?
Ah, man, that's
It's so
pretty
awkward.
distracting. Hopefully he wears a full shirt next time because we don't need to see them monster nipples hanging out with the rings attached. It's very distracting.
He should just like draw a happy face on it or something. Kind of a little Easter egg inside of it, you know.
Well, the guys, Zanka said that Doink's son follows him on Instagram. DDP follows him on Instagram. And a while back he said Dominic Mysterio follows him. Matthew J.H., who is the most famous person that follows you?
Ooh. I would have to say, as far as followers are concerned, only because I had an accident. Oh, no. Wait. Lita Ford follows me. Lita Ford.
Who is that?
That is in 1980s heavy metal singer. She sang the song Kiss Me Deadly.
Oh.
And she was in the Runaways that sang the song Cherry Bomb.
Cherry Bomb.
Yeah. But that's because she created Instagram. She started following anybody that followed her. But let's see, Mina Caputo follows me, who is the singer for a band called Life of Agony. It's like a metal type band.
Wow.
They're really good, but they're making more waves now because Mina Caputo is transgender.
Yeah.
And as you know, they headline festivals and everything, and she came out and was open about it to the media. They're like huge in Europe and stuff before Caitlyn Jenner did.
Damn.
So for that, for me, it's crazy because like I used to go see him when it was Keith Caputo, and it was just like this little wiry guy, and now it's this girl that comes out on stage and she's like, "Who wants to see my titties?" and this and that. I was like, "Oh, okay." But
Nice, man. Well,
those are the two for me.
for me, it's Zanka and Sam. Those are the two most famous people who follow me. But you know, it's
If I was cleaning it out, and I think I may have, but if not, that's 3 and 4.
well,
Zach and Sam.
it's time to get to the sad news of the entire podcast. Matthew, we need to ask and find out your opinion on Jake breaking the news that the podcast is only once a month now. What do you think of that?
I'm devastated. This is something I actually look forward to every Tuesday. Like I get ready, I put my kids to sleep at 6:30 every day, and at 6:30 is usually when the podcast drops. I get my lunch ready, I'd hop in the car around 7:30, and I listen to a good 45 minutes to an hour before I even make it to work every day.
And now
I was devastated.
they got to do
Oh,
this shit on us.
it's ridiculous. I mean, I get it. I feel bad for the guy. I really do. I hope if there was ever any, like he played it off as, obviously the state of wrestling's bad, the state of the world is bad, and there's not much to talk about. But to be honest with you, I enjoy listening to them crap on the product for how it is or the state as well. I still found it very entertaining. But I get it. I understand.
I think it's funny how Jake barely watches and he still hates talking about it.
Exactly.
Danka invests so much time into watching wrestling and even the Lars porn. Like he watches everything, makes memes. I was concerned for him as well. Like, is this mutual? But I mean, they both got their reasons. Maybe they needed a break. And like I said in the chat, that absence will make the heart grow fonder. We'll learn to appreciate the podcast even more. But Jake, I know you don't listen to this, but if you are listening to this, you got to know, buddy, it's going to be double down on everything. Everything that you hated about the podcast is going to come down double because it's only once a month now. You see, we were spreading it out over 4 weeks, but now you're going to get a compound of every goddamn hashtag in the world, if that made you sick before. So I hope...
If it didn't create new ones.
Yeah, I hope you know what you asked for, because come Money in the Bank prediction show, it's going to be a lot.
It's going to be a 4-hour episode.
All right, Matthew, thank you very much for getting away from those monkeys to come talk to me. And I hope you appreciate and enjoy the rest of your day. Watch the rest of Decent Mania if you can. Do you have anything else you want to say before we let you go today?
No, thank you for the opportunity, and I apologize. This has been a crazy week. This was supposed to be last week and everything. So, again, you are like the hardest working person, a part of this whole family. So I felt terrible having to cancel and all that stuff. So I can't thank you enough for the opportunity and just dealing with my crappiness for the past couple of days.
No, I understand, man. I mean, everyone's got their own shit. Everyone's got their own hectic life, and you are extremely busy as well. The benefit of having this community that we are a part of is that everybody will lend a helping hand if somebody else drops off. So I just appreciate you carving out some of your Saturday to talk with us today and interview me. Thank you for being here.
And thank you for the opportunity. As we were just previously interrupted, we're going to do, I am going to get the beer, but we're doing Bounce House in about 10 minutes. Going to go set it up in the yard.
There you go, man. Another crazy Saturday for Matthew J.H. Thank you for joining. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Go watch Decent Mania. And as always, all hail Linda's Boots.
I'm beyond all that fuck shit. Hey. Hey, lil' mama, would you like to be my sunshine? Hail Caesar.
Yo, what's your boy Julius_Caesar here, and Mangria has asked me, what's the future of the Still Real After Party podcast? I don't know. I mean, it's the same future of what's with WWE. I mean, are they really going to keep it going? Weekly episodes, no crowd from the performance center? Not everybody can show up. I mean, people live, people move. I mean, people are all over the place. I ain't seen Corey Graves in like a month. No Melly neither. No, she was a hot top star. But I mean, obviously, if your ass ain't living in Florida right now, I mean, you ain't making it. You know what I mean? So, unless you're driving, ain't nobody driving fucking 12 hours for, 30 minutes of work and then go home for another 6 days because you ain't doing house shows. So, the future is up in the air while this COVID is just steadily ramming us with no lube. You know what I mean? Like 2020 ain't fucked up enough. It's April right now. It's 420. Can't smoke with the homies. Gotta sit at home. Roll up by yourself. If you have a birthday this month, or if you had a birthday this year so far, you are fucked. Ain't nobody celebrating your shit all week, all month, all year. Fuck out of here. And don't try to make up for lost time when summer hits and we free, bitch. Because, it's hoe season then. So, I guess all you can do is hit up that man Mangria and send your shit to him to ask me week to week, and I'll answer your dumbass questions. I'll answer all your questions. I don't give a fuck. Blow Mangria shit up. Irritate that some bitch while he's at work. I'll answer your questions. Everything. Sending your dumbass hashtags Mangria. I mean, I'm not going to read them, but I'll respect them. You know what I mean? And that's where we at. That's where we living until everything gets back to normal. We got to make do what we make do. Peace. Holla at your boy. I guess I'll see you next month in the comments for Money in the Stank.